talk about today? Who knows? Talking points. Hello, lizard. Hey, buddy. Time traveling, timeline shifting. Taurus. Tis a thing. Hey, remote viewing. Celestial beings. Phoenix rising, divine feminine. Question authenticity. Just, you know. I haven't talked about this stuff yet. I haven't talked about my experiences I've been going through in the last year. Like timeline shit thing. I had an experience where I felt like that's what was happening. My whole body'd start shaking. I'd feel like I was going up, down, up, down. It was strange. I don't really know how to explain what was other than I was vibrating and going. So I felt like I was jumping. It was strange. It was pretty cool. It was cool. Potato chips!
I'll put them in here. Where you want them now?
Peace. Get excited about the littlest things.
Huh?
I'm talking to myself, sir.
Word. That's about right.
Wasn't doing anything else. I say hi.
Hello.
That's my little big brother. Here we go.
Oh! Oh!
He's a weird one too. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you, Monk. Love you.
You're welcome, Luke.
Okay. Okie dokie. What to talk about? I don't know anymore. Just been going through lots of strange occurrences this last year. Hello, little fly. Everybody. Where are you going? Spirit, lead me. Conversations with self and soul co-starring Spirit. Just spit by myself. let's see. Had some things I channeled the other day. Message about humanity potentially undergoing spiritual assessment. That's gotta be changed. The speaker self. Feels like that's what I've been going through. However, when all of this started, I was in a place where my spirit was broken, and soul felt like it completely just fragmented after going through many difficult challenges throughout my life. I spoke about that a little bit in video yesterday, and then it was like I feel like spirit stepped in, like, what's going on here? And feeling like I'm under this assessment, right, to understand, I guess, the frequency I feel that I was emitting, because I was spiritually and emotionally not in a very good place. And it feels to me like what we're going through, because I had to sit like all year and kind of understand, like, who am I, right? And what am I? And researching lots of different things, trying to understand what was happening to self. And it feels to me that there are divine beings that are waking up right now to who and what we are, and many of us are being pulled into solitude to sit and look back at our lives and then study and research to understand the energies that we carry, why we went through the dark things that we did, why we fought the energies that we did, although maybe fight's not the right word, why we were faced with certain energies that we were faced with in the attempt to build the character of our soul, which is the eternal parts of ourself. And I feel like sitting for self, for me, it was important for me to sit back and kind of be, to reflect on the things I had been through, why I had been through them, and what it was building within me. And it feels to me that we are starting to wake up and to remember who we and what we are on a, it's, I don't know if the right word is like cosmic or celestial level, and technically, they're similar but not the same. I like speaking about it like the earth angels, right? Because that's something many people are talking about, being a star seed, which I feel means being like a very old soul, having come into many incarnations, and probably in many many places, many realms, many other planets even. Or being like an earth angel, and it's like, can you look back at your life and see the kind of energies that you faced, how you handled them, how you were able to persevere and overcome those energies, which can contribute to, when you sit to know thyself, being like, kind of angel am I? That's what I did anyway, because I had to understand what was happening to self. In a very dark place, and then like for the last year I was going through experiences that I can't really explain in logical terms to most people, because spirit doesn't really make logical sense yet, because I feel we forgot for so long, and we were distracted from the truth of like the real reality, the true dance, not only between like light and dark that you see in the physical, but between the material and the spiritual. We were made to feel for so long, at least what I was used to, the culture that I was used to being around, was that it was separate from, when really it's not separate at all. Never has, that never was. Never will be, to be honest, because if it was, then technically our physical selves, they wouldn't do anything. You recognize that spirit is energy, and without that, it would just, so, I don't know. You wake up and it starts to not make any sense anymore. You're like they were misguided. Tried to something. But I feel like there's many of us waking up to the fact that we are those divine beings. And that's something you can't really fake, because divinity is a place that comes from the heart space. And you can tell yourself that that's what you are, but if you don't act like it, just, like, I think you need to check yourself. Confirmation. I wrote here, said, feels to me that the angels, divine beings, are waking up to their true nature again. Being in alignment with the collective growth is crucial to the assessment of souls. Important to note that entities from higher realms pay more attention to the energy one carries more than the acts they may choose to display, as one's energy cannot be faked. Reason and intention behind decisions is monitored in our energy fields. Deceit, manipulation give off a very different frequency than the conscious choice to move in truth. Upholding the higher spiritual principles for the betterment of humanity as a whole is vital. Having a strong moral compass and choosing to stay in your north node will allow for continued access on this ascension path. Very important. Because to me, humanity is undergoing spiritual assessment. I'm going to have in parentheses quarterly assessment. I don't know what that means exactly, because celestial timing is vastly different than our human perspective. Choices made today by individuals will have long-standing effects on humanity as a whole that extend far into future. Because celestial timing is very different. I feel like I've been in this place for the last year, trying to understand like what I was going through. having these experiences I can't really explain. But then I woke up this morning with some clarity about that, and it feels to me like it was spiritual training. Technically, my whole life, many of our lives has been like spiritual boot camp. It always is down here on this planet. It's just we forget that that's what we're doing because we come into the incarnation and we lose a little bit of the memory, but the soul remembers. It's just hard for the mind to grasp because the mind can only contain so much information. But also, like, when I started to go through the whole awakening process, when it got like really extreme and was given that perspective of the longevity of the soul, which is eternal, then it helped me to have gratitude for incarnating and the forgetting a little bit, because you realize that the eternal soul is eternal, and you find, at first it was a very uncomfortable perspective, seeing that there was a sadness in it. Not as sad, I mean, yes, but also there's a heaviness to it. And I feel too that maybe that was something that a higher power is trying to help me to understand, because I was in a place where I was grieving so deeply for people that I had lost. And I was just in this place where I couldn't let those things go. I missed them so much. And I felt like I was forgotten, because I was hurting so much, and I've been through so many things that I survived when so many other people that I cared for so deeply did not, and I couldn't comprehend or understand why that was happening. I felt like I was either unwanted or forgotten. And I was struggling with that, and I feel like that's really what eventually, why something stepped in and was like, I got a dick. Wake this one up. And to help me remember, and too, like, there's many people around the planet that are going through this, and I feel like that was kind of the point of why many of us chose to incarnate at this point in time, was to go through this process and to remember, because I feel many thousands of years ago we lost so much information about the journey of the soul and how to truly expand the consciousness and connect back to a higher power, to the source itself. And I feel that there's many of us that chose to come into this incarnation to have our butt kicked by spirit, not because it, I say that the right way. Technically, we're always helping each other, you know, and I feel it's been this process of growth for humanity as a whole. And it's like, who knows, did the gods descend and create the human being, and it's up to us to grow and evolve on our own, or at some point were we awakened to our true divine nature and then put to sleep? You know, I'm in a place where I'm trying to understand that, I guess, and to see what really feels right. And I wonder if, like, it's just that the human being has not fully awakened to their truest potential yet. You know, maybe that's what all the spiritual testing over thousands of years, 1919, has been about. Why we've been doing this for so long. And if you consider, like, the longevity of the soul and waking up, see, that's where I'm learning to read energy and go through this process of channeling, which many people seem to be going through. At least that I found, because I had to understand what was happening to me. And if you're looking for those things, you find them, and then you go down that rabbit hole, and you're like, here we go. I feel like it's the next step in our species evolution, right? Like we're waking up, and now we got science to back some things, and we're learning to bring those two things together, science and spirituality, because for a long time I was like, no, you gotta keep this separable. Fit it to a narrative, and then you're like, do you guys even realize that you're capping off your own evolution when you do that? Like, but it's gotta be this way because it makes us more comfortable. I'm like, yeah, but you're keeping yourself, for lack of a better term, dumbed down to the potential of what the vessel actually does and the expansion of your own consciousness. And see, that's the other thing too, is that it also has to come from a heart space, which allows you to sense even higher and higher realms that you can't actually get to unless you carry the frequency of truth and love and light, because there's this perfect balance and the higher realms recognize those things. So even if you tell yourself you hit the tippity top, but you're not coming from a place of truth, honor, integrity, and all those good things, like upholding the highest spiritual principles for the highest good of all beings, then really you're being dishonest with yourself. And then you just hope that people have the ears to hear and want to actually learn these things and be like, huh, maybe there's something to this. Yeah, but that's a choice. You can't. It's kind of an interesting journey. Then a little lonely. Lonely is not the right word. I have felt quite alone because you go through an awakening and you feel exiled from the collective, because then you see through everything and you're like, well, I just have no patience for. That's not the right way. I have minimal ability to be around people that are not attempting to. It's not the right way to say it either. I choose not to mix my energy much with people that are too comfortable. I gotta think of the right way today. That confirmation. It becomes difficult for me to be in too much energy with people that are very comfortable in I want to say in the illusion, and then that makes me feel bad, because when you go through the awakening, all you want to do is like wake everybody up and shake and be like, wake up. But then you have to also understand that different soul journeys, and it's uncomfortable, and you're having to step away from a lot of what keeps other people in the cycle, and it's a really strange in between place to be in, and that's kind of where I've been in for quite a while. And now, honestly, I didn't realize that's what was going on for like the last decade. I just knew that I felt pulled to just be alone. And it made people, there were many people that would get like upset with me about it, like, oh, you're different, you don't come hang out. And I'm like, I didn't know how to explain what I was going through. All I knew was that I felt pulled to just sit in solitude for a long time. And I didn't know how to tell anyone what was going on, and then that was, I mean, I guess that was still like part of the awakening process, but over the last couple of years it got really intense, so then it was like just total isolation, just sit and beg. And then any time that I would allow people into my vicinity while I was going through that phase, it would drain my energy, and I was right to bed and I couldn't get out of bed. So it's like now I feel like I'm awake to that now, and I can see, I have the spiritual discernment, and it's not because anybody, I feel like, meant me harm or meant to drain my energy. I just don't even, I feel like they weren't even consciously aware of the energies that they carried within themselves, because they were also yet like ready, willing, or able to sit to know thyself. And that's that mirror effect, right? And it was like finally I couldn't handle anymore. I was so drained and I was so depleted, and I was hurting so badly that it like something just stepped in and was like enough. And I was pulled into meditation, where that's like it's all I could do for months. It's not even like I had to like make myself do it. It's all I wanted to do. And I did it every day for hours upon hours upon hours, because nothing else was working. I tried everything else. I did the medicine, I did the therapy, and I did the hospitals, and I tried the distractions, and I tried going out, and I tried watching TV till I couldn't, and none of it was nourishing to my soul. The more that I did all of that, the less complete that I felt. And I got to this place where I was so I felt so lost. I felt like I was stuck in the dark. And then something stepped in to save me, essentially. It was like, I don't know. Something assisted me in pulling me into meditation. I turned off the TV. I was mindful about what I would listen to. I don't really watch TV anymore unless it's like educational, or something that's truly like nourishing to my soul, that has like a good lesson behind it. I changed my diet. I started drinking water. I started taking vitamins. I got off of the laundry list of medications that they had me on. I don't recommend that people just do that. Speak to a doctor. For me, I needed to be off of them, so I did. And the funny thing is, I'm doing better now than I've ever done. Granted, I had to sit for the last year and go through my pain also, which is a big part of the reason why I felt like the meditation was necessary. I sat, and every day I would question, like, thoughts, what are you thinking? Why do I feel this way? What is this trying to tell me? What am I trying to learn from this? I would journal, I would write, I would record when I wasn't facing things that... Because you have to face a lot of beliefs when you do that, and a lot of what you were told about who you are, about what society is, about I had to face a lot of religious things, which was strange to me too, because I'm not a religious person. I never was. I was always a spiritual person. But it's like I had to go through this process where not only was I dealing with my own shadow work from years of pain and trauma that I went through and survived, I was having to face the illusions of society, right? And it was really difficult, and the nightmares got really intense, the experiences got weird. It was very strange. The closest thing I feel like I can relate it to, like, scientifically, would be like reading Carl Jung and understanding his experiences. I feel like that's what I was going through. I tried to journal as much as I could. I didn't record because, again, I had to face like a lot of the spiritual side of that too. And then you kind of recognize psychology and spirituality, they go hand in hand. And I just, like, you wake up to that fact. But there's also, I was having some other experiences that I know, what's the best way to say? I don't know if it was sensing other dimensions or other timelines or other frequencies or energy fields that I couldn't see with my physical eye, but I could sense. And that stuff wasn't in my mind. It was like when you see, like, they'll speak like paranormal and somebody's like in a haunted house and they, you know, like I would have these experiences and it didn't matter where I was, it was happening all the time. I could be outside and I could sense these other, I don't know if it's realms, other worlds, other dimensions, I'm not really sure. And this is like the part where I don't know how to explain in a logical sense what I was actually going through all year. Like it sounds bananas, and it's like, yeah, well, you know, maybe if we didn't lose so much, I'm not gonna apologize for saying that. I feel like we lost so much valuable information many thousands of years ago that, and it just, I feel like now there's so many of us going through this awakening process, trying to awaken and remember, and it's difficult for the ones going through it that don't really know where to turn. And it's like, that's why I had to start studying and researching. It's like they left lots of important things out. You know, and it makes you wonder, like, what else is lost? What else, you know? And then I had to go through this whole grieving period, too, where it's like, how much information is this, like, as a species down here did we lose because of the ignorance of people at the time? Like, we're going to control things and we'll just, and it's like, does anybody realize what, you know? And I went through like this period where I was so fucking sad about it, excuse the language, but I feel like it was appropriate right there. Like, I went through this grieving process going all the way back, I feel like, to the beginning of like, what happened? What happened? How much have we actually lost about the potential of who and what we are as a human being? In the journey of the soul, they knew this many, many thousands of years ago, and it's like, what happened? You know, and I went through this period where I was so depressed about that. Like, I had to go through this grieving period, like, what? And it's like, you kind of know, right? You can research and study it, and I feel like it's such a crucial part of the evolution for the species right now to expand on the greatest possible level is to open up a dialogue, and instead of being like, oh, they had it right, or it's coming together and being like, can we talk about the wounding that happened? Can we talk about and discuss the things that were lost? The information. I think about like the Library of Alexandria a lot. It offends me today. Like, I sit and I think about that, and it's like, what the fuck were they thinking? And it's like, well, we know what they were thinking, but it's like, do they have any idea the damage that they've done so many thousands of years later, where people are going through this process, and it's like they medicate everybody instead of helping assist in the awakening and the expansion of consciousness. And it's like, do they recognize the damage that they're doing to their own souls by doing that, which was why Jesus was like, forgive them for they know not what they do, because they're so trapped and immersed in the material world that they don't even recognize the eternal part of their soul and the wounding and scarring that they're putting on that eternal part of themselves, and they're not actually growing. And I gotta think of the right way to say that. As I'm going through this process, and I'm really trying deeply to understand, because it affected me so much to the point that it's had me in bed again for months, like going through this grieving period and trying to understand and I don't know, see things from a different perspective. And like, then there was also part of me that was so afraid to talk about these things because of the fact that I had to wake up, and you start to feel the pain from all of that back then, and you start to see how messed up it really was. and then the way that people that spoke about these things were treated. So I went through this phase where it was like I was grieving my own stuff, going through my dark night. Then it was like I woke up so quickly and I'm facing all these things from our collective like history as a species, and then while also wanting to talk about these things and not knowing where to go because there's that wounding, right? That persecution wound that we carry as a collective species about speaking truth and opening up about these things and having a dialogue that says, how do we heal finally? You know, but I had to go through this process first where I was able to build my courage to speak, because when you look back, whether it's in our ancient past or even more recent past, sadly, ones that speak the truth and go through these processes that are truly meant to help humanity on the deepest possible level, it's a scary position to, it's an honorable position to be in, truth be told. And I'm getting to a point now where it's like, I don't care if I offend your sensibilities. I know that I speak truth and I'm coming from a place in the heart and from my soul, and I pray for the souls that come up against anybody of any race, creed, religion, or culture that's truly trying to awake humanity. Like I pray constantly now, all the time. Because the frequency is good to put out there, it's good for the field. I look forward to the day that we can start coming together and actually like putting the pieces together as a whole instead of, I don't know, it's that when you wake up and you see the interconnectedness of all living things, it's so hard not to see it from that perspective. It's so difficult to just ignore anymore. I'm in this place where I can't, like I can't do it. Can't do it, Captain. I mean, you know. And then on top of all that stuff, I was having, like I speak in the other videos, like flashes of images, like my third eye just was like, hello! Just opened up one day, and I'm like, whoa. And it's been strange, because like once it opens, it doesn't go back to sleep. It'd be beneficial to find a guide, I feel like, but that's the thing, like, also I feel like there was part of, because we're going through a remembering that goes back, all I could talk about now is the journey of the soul, and really where you find that goes all the way back to the beginning of time on this planet. So it's like I didn't really know where to go to talk to somebody to be like, can you help guide me through this, please? I mean, I wasn't gonna go and talk to a therapist and then be like, you're and then you also don't want to spark an awakening in someone that's not ready. I'm butterfly. Alright, and it's like I gotta be careful going into a church, because I broke that whole story down and I was like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And so you don't want to spark an awakening in somebody that's not ready for it. I want to get into that conversation. I don't think it's time yet. That's a good one though. Just, I mean, it is. You got a way of explaining things. That's the thing. That was the promise though, right? Time of revelations, we're all going to go through an awakening, which I feel is like we're waking up and we're remembering, and deceit can't stand in the face of truth. So we're going through this now, and it's just like, well, here we go. And that's why I feel like this life has been so dense for me. And that's why I feel I spent so long in solitude, was because I feel like my soul has been through this before, whether it be on this planet, other planets, past lives, who knows. I feel like I've awakened before, and coming back down or descending back down into a 3D dimension was very heavy for me. Like I could feel it. Call it empathy. We'll go with that one. It makes people more comfortable. Yeah. I like to say I'm an archangel. I have a halo. When things resonate, call it an aura. Just again, so you can make people comfortable. But I feel it when things resonate. I can feel the energy literally extend around me, and it's really cool. And it's like the more that you step into your truth, the more that you feel it. Like I feel that everybody gets, like, you get the tingly hairs on your neck stand up or up your arm when something. The more that you live from the heart space instead of the mind, and you're able to sit to know thyself, you get much more sensitive to your own energy field, and I can literally feel that energy expand around me when things resonate, and it's pretty cool. Because then it's like, now, because of the spiritual discernment, and I sat to know thyself, and these spiritual gifts are coming online, it's a little funny when people try and approach me with untruths now, because I'm like, oh, I can feel it from here. Like, adorable. It's, that's pretty nifty. It is. It's cool. And it's like, this is the potential of every human being if we just get over some things and wake up and be like, oh, that's what our avatars do. Like, I like the movie Avatar where the girl's laying in the grass and I do that. It's like, and it's like, technically, every human being has the potential to do that, but can you sit to know thyself, detach from the material world a little bit, and turn off the noise and remember who and what you are, instead of allowing the spell casting and society telling you this is how it is? Can you sit long enough to know thyself and to feel the energy that can maneuver through the body, and how to read the energy fields? And it's really interesting. And it's like, that's a big part of what I've been going through for this. And I wonder, is that the information that was lost thousands of years ago? And it's like, maybe, who knows? Who knows? I'm grateful, and I'm very, I'm proud of myself for going through this process. Because it's not been easy. My whole life I was told there's something wrong with you because I was sensitive. And it's like, why, yes I am. And technically, I gotta be careful with that. I'm not a doctor. And if you're somebody that feels like you need help, please go in and seek it. This is just my journey and my experience and where I'm at right now. And I would like to assist in helping other people get to this point and through this process. Because how cool is it? Right? Like, it's the potential of our human vessel. So it's like, who knew? Who knew? Apparently you'd think they would, because their symbol literally represents Kundalini. And you're like, you'd think there's part of my halo. You'd think that, and then, that was another thing. I had to sit and question that. I'm like, do they? Like, do they know? And if it is, it's like, well, you guys are jerks. Why didn't you tell everybody? Why didn't you say anything? Because then there's those of us going through this process. Like, when this started with me, I didn't even know what the word Kundalini was. And it just came in and shocked my system. And I was like, wow, vision started, and it got weird. But now it's like I'm coming through the other side of it, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I wonder. I would ask somebody in the medical field, be like, do you know what that symbol means? I'm just curious, you know? Oh boy. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that. What else? And I keep feeling like I mean, I'm talking to myself and my phone, but I keep feeling like I gotta ask for forgiveness because I question if, because I don't really talk to anybody, I don't quite know how awake I am. I feel like I'm really, really, really awake. And then, but also, hi butterfly, hello! Like, I feel like I gotta be mindful of too. Confirmation, darn it. Oh man, I would go out and just be like, guys, let's wake up! But that's a choice. You know, you really gotta sit to know thyself. And it's not just knowing thyself, it's when you go through true awakening, you face things going, at least for self, like I had to face things going all the way back to the beginning. And I don't know if it's past lives or if I was just tapping into the consciousness field or, you know, I don't know. But just going all the way back to the beginning and having to feel. Like, I had to go through this, like, grief of things that I can't explain with my logical mind, but granted, like, I was getting flashes of images of things, and it's just been really, it's been an intense process. But I feel too like this is what many of us chose to come into this incarnation and go through, right? I feel like there's those of us that have these soul contracts where we came in like, okay, it's time for another big step in the species evolution, so we're going to come into this incarnation, and it came off to me in the beginning like we were doing recon work for the higher realms, and I say that because in some of the visions that I had, it came off to me that the heavens, higher realms needed to know why divine beings were not making it back. And that's a big statement to make, but that's what I was told. They needed to know why we weren't making it back to the kingdom. And whether you look at that, again, depending on who you're speaking to in the visions that I had, there is a kingdom of heaven that is not, in the visions it was presented to me as somewhere, I would say higher than down here, obviously, but then if you look at it from, I think I'm just going to continue saying it the other way. There is something higher, and there's those of us that aren't making it back to the kingdom. You can look at it from just a consciousness perspective, and maybe higher realms are being like, why aren't the rest of the people in humanity not ascending like some others might be? It's like if there's people that have information on the journey of the soul and how to do that, why isn't it being shared? Especially, that's why I had to sit down, I had to do my research and figure things out for myself. because I see the light that I carry, and I see the energy that I carry within my soul and the person that I am, and that I do carry a divine light. And I don't say that like as though it's better than. It's one of the more difficult paths that you can walk. It's much harder to carry the light than it is to be an asshole. Truth be told, there's the other part of my halo. It's easy to be a jerk. It's easy to carry a false light and pretend that you're something that you're not. It is vastly different and much more difficult to be somebody that carries a light, because the light hurts. We absorb so many things from others, especially when we're not yet awakened to our true divine nature and what it is that we do for the collective. When I speak about grid workers and I speak about earth angels, that is a real thing. It is a frequency that we carry. And many of us, going for myself anyway, was asleep to the fact that that's what I did. So for a long time I allowed myself to feel like a victim to circumstances, when in truth I was in spiritual boot camp. And now I'm awake. And I'm like, oh, I'm an angel. And I've been fighting DEDs my whole life. But now I see my worth, and I understand the light that I carry, and I understand that my words have power and weight to help people awaken to their true divine nature if they so choose to listen to the words. And then sit with themselves long enough to say, who and what am I? It's a choice to carry a true light, but it's not the easy choice. The narrow path that we walk. And it takes, for self, I feel, because of my journey, potentially, it took me being the black sheep, going through, being able to come in at a point now where I have the life experience, and that's what it takes to carry true wisdom. You can't learn wisdom in a book. And granted, both are needed to truly assist in these next levels and steps of the species evolution. Having that life experience, like, it looked real bad in the physical throughout my life, the things that I was going through, and I looked like a hot mess. And truth be told, I was. But now I see who I am on the other side of it, and I recognize that I was a light in the darkness for a lot of the people that I was coming into contact with. These are people that may not have been very good to me when they met me, but they always came back after, thanking me for teaching them something. And I see that now. So I find gratitude in that, and I also see the way that they were able to teach me how to stand up for myself, how to carry that light, how to have strength and to have courage. And that's where you recognize that delicate dance between the light and the dark, and what it is that we actually do for one another without being angry. And then that's where you learn gratitude. I'm like, oh, is that what we've all been doing this whole time? And it's like, well, yeah. Building character for the soul and ascending to the higher, more heart-based frequencies, which is that step into the 5D. Hi, Kitty. Hello. Okay, I'm gonna take a break for now. Talk some more later. Yep, that's it for right now.